Hi everyone, welcome to the Be More podcast with your host, James Calderbank. And today, to be honest, I hate waiting for things. I'm very impatient and I dread doing this intro every time. So we're going to just get stuck straight in. So the Be More podcast is about helping yourself and just get on with stuff in life and don't overthink it. So that takes us to our first episode this month. And we're going to be talking about my ADHD and talking as if it belongs to me, but how it's impacted my life for the good and great, and all the people around me. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. So I've also got co-host Gemma Ray, longtime friend and employee.
Yeah, I suppose we work together, but we're mates. But I've been with you along your ADHD journey, and we were talking today about topics for the podcast. And I think it's really interesting, the journey that you've been on. And I end up talking about you to a lot of people about how it's become what I believe is your superpower. And I think that, like your partner Katie said earlier, it's very on trend is ADHD. And I don't like to say that because it's not a trend. It's your life. And there have been points on this journey that I know it's been difficult and a challenge. But a lot of people are thinking about how their brains work and they're kind of tying up, you know, being neurodivergent, ADHD, different things with how they have thought and how their brain has worked for the majority of their life. And I've got a few people in my life who are being diagnosed with ADHD at the moment, and they're finding it really tough, whereas I think you have a really inspirational side of it.
Yeah.
So I'd love you to talk about it. So can we go back to the beginning when you were younger? Were there any traits when you were younger, do you think, looking back?
Yes. There were signs that were not read.
And what did your mum and dad think about that?
I've not really spoke to my dad about it, but my mum's still probably convinced this day I don't have it because
Right.
I think there was a stigma around, or still is, I think, to a degree, but it's getting better. The ADHD is just naughty kids in school, and it was a bad label to have. So when I was younger, there wasn't really much discussion around it apart from the bad kids had it, and it was actually like a negative thing.
Were you a bad kid?
No.
So when you say there were signs, what like what?
Well, I just remember looking back. I think, I didn't know there were signs at the time. Obviously, I was a young child, pretty self-aware, but not 4 years old. But I just remember always like sitting in lessons at school going, this is a load of shit. What am I learning here? Like, I wasn't being like stimulated, and I always just had big dreams and energy, and I was so excited for the things I had in my mind that I was so passionate about. I could not think about anything else whatsoever apart from that thing. Like, I remembered that even when I was a kid, like I can't remember what it'd be now, but like a new toy or something that I'd know I'd get for my birthday is all I could focus on for like months.
So like tunnel vision on that thing. On
the internet, reading up about it, and I'd know every single thing about it. And I remember this when I was in like primary school. So yeah, I didn't concentrate a lot in school, but the things that I did really enjoy, I excelled at a lot.
And so fast forward then, how old were you when you went, do you know what? I think I need to go and look into this a bit more. This might be me.
I don't think until a few years ago, I didn't really have that thought, but I always knew I was different than other people. Like, I just never, like, I used to get on with people, but I never used to fit in groups. Like, I was quite an intense, I still am a very intense person, but I never fit in because I think people thought I was too intense, or, you know, were just so like passionate about things, and it could be unproductive things as well, stupid things, and you know, like, I'm not saying I was always focused on like something that's going to help my life. Like, it went a lot the other way as well sometimes. I get over focused on things that didn't benefit me. But yes, I always realised I was different, and I didn't quite fit in with the norm sort of people. But when I did fit with someone, I'd become like best friends with them.
Because as you're talking, I'm thinking, as our relationship and our friendship has developed, so we've been mates for like 8-9 years now, I never witnessed that part of you, but probably because we always worked in a one-to-one. So I got the intense, productive, let's get shit done, let's make things happen.
Oh, because you're super neurodivergent as well.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. You're absolutely fucked as well. Yeah.
We are ADHD friends.
Yeah,
but I'm just undiagnosed.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. So without going too off like story, it's very much linked to autism.
Yeah.
Or anything else that's like neurodivergent. I've not looked too much into the science behind it. Probably should really. But you'll tend to attract to more neurodivergent people.
Okay.
That is like a scientific study. I've not got the data on it, and read it up if you want.
Yeah.
But you'll tend to connect more a lot quicker.
Because I think because I'm quite productive, I haven't identified with that, but I think maybe I've forced that over the years. That is a forced version of me. I don't know,
because but you're very consistent, and you can one thing I've realised with you, there could be an apocalypse around you. Putin could have nuked the country next to us, and you'd still be focused going, and then there could be noise, explosions, bullets flying over your head, and you could probably still be tapping away on your laptop.
But is that not because I've got so many children and I'm used to just blocking them out?
Potentially. Could be a coping mechanism.
Could be. So going back to you a second, right? At what point did you think, I'm going to look into this more? What was it? Was there something, a thought, something you saw, or was it something that somebody said that made you go, I'm going to look into this?
I think it started off as a joke, like my family actually saying I was autistic. Not as a joke, but they'd say there's something wrong with you, mate. You need to get sort of checked out in a lovable way.
Yeah.
And then, careful what you wish for, family.
But a lot of people, and I know I was one of those who sent you a load of memes this is you. Look at this is you. And then at what point do you kind of think, do you know what, I'm actually going to go and...
Do you know what it actually was? So when I was in lockdown, I was so depressed. I don't think I was depressed because I was necessarily couldn't go out and go outside as much, because I just did anyway. I'm not going to sit here and say that I stuck to the rules. I didn't put anyone at harm, but I'm not staying in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not me. So I did that anyway. So it wasn't really that. But I think because I was just, it's like someone put a pause on what I could achieve. I think we had three hubs at the time, and I just wanted to grow it so much. But then because I was eating bad, I wasn't drinking a load of alcohol every day or anything like that, but I was eating bad. I'd drink more beer at weekends, and I was just going on this downward spiral. I just brain fog and couldn't get focused, and I put a load of weight on. And it's not because of this exact reason, but if you didn't know, a lot of your ADHD symptoms are hugely ramped up when you're not eating well, foods that are bad for you, not training and things like this, because it's a lack of dopamine or inconsistent production of dopamine in your brain, which is why you struggle to focus. So the more and more you go off plan with looking after your own body, I found it gets a lot worse. And anyone will say that's got ADHD, you can medicate yourself all you want in the world, but if your eating's not right, your stress isn't managed, you get a lot of the symptoms as well. So I basically started to train a lot again in lockdown. I woke up one day and was like, I think we're 4 or 5 months away from coming out of lockdown. Do you remember at the end when we sort of the energy was
sick of it?
Energy was getting back up, and everyone was getting jabbed and vaccinated, and do it for your country, clap for the NHS.
Not to go on holiday.
Clap for the NHS, all that sort of stuff. Couldn't go on holiday if you got a jab, so I managed to wing a jab. Then to be told didn't need one anyway. So so I did all that sort of stuff. And then one of my friends for focus was taking it's like a tablet for narcolepsy called modafinil. So it's not it's a prescription drug. It's not like a controlled drug or anything. But he gave me a sleeve of them. Obviously, he didn't get them prescription. But they use them in America for severe ADHD symptoms and stuff. But I was like, yeah, he's like, try and use them. These people help you focus a bit. I had one, and it's like I could just think clear. The noise just went out of my head. all I can describe it as is just noise like going on all the time. And as soon as I had that, it was like I could just focus. It was really strange. So I started to have that quite regularly, and then I would literally come across how much it was used for ADHD in America. So I thought, actually, I'm going to go and get a test. I've been thinking about it a lot. So I went to my local private clinic because it's like a 2-year waiting list on the NHS.
And the rest, yeah.
Because it's so, I don't think they're still fully bought in, but I think they see ADHD as not a disability, if that makes sense. And I personally don't think it is a disability. It might be debilitating for some areas of your life, but I think my opinion is you need to tune into where it does give you a lot of more abilities, because I genuinely believe that. So one of the first things they asked me was like, do you take any like prescription things that are not prescribed to you? I said, actually, I remember definitely, like, yeah. And how do you feel? And he was like, I was just like, clarity. He's like, yeah. That was like one of the major things. Like for someone else, it'd just make them like wired, but it actually calmed me down.
Because you described these tablets as Bradley Cooper's film Limitless, where he takes those pills and all of a sudden he can just think at lightning speed and achieve stuff, and that's how you describe these.
Well, no, I actually think at lightning speed more so without them.
Okay,
and that's the problem.
Right.
So you get lightning speed, but a million ideas at the same time, and then you can go over focused on that idea, and then you can't multitask. Like you get so tuned into that one thing, whereas this allows you to keep tuned in but very level, and you can still manage the other areas of your life quite easily.
And what was it like getting that diagnosis? Like what did they do with you? How does that work?
It was really good. Like they felt like they were on your side. Like I think if you went to the NHS and did it, you feel like you were just a burden, because they're obviously not taking it serious enough to be a 2-year waiting list. If it was autism or something, you get straight through, like I think they respect. I think the private companies probably respect how you actually feel a lot more. So I don't believe people should be able to wait 2 years. But anyway, so went for the first one, and it was more like a phone call. I think they sent me some forms. No, before that, actually, I went online and I did like a free test online. I think this is before I went to these guys. And what happened now? Yeah, I think I just did like 50 questions. They said, yeah, you're highly likely to have it, but not obviously a diagnosis. And then, so just booked in for the initial process. And then it was like an interview for like 20, 30 minutes with one of the practitioners. They gave me a load of forms. Some forms went to my family. It's like my mum.
Oh, really?
Yep.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah. My mum filled out forms for me. Not sure if my dad did. I can't remember. It was like 2 years ago now. Probably not. No, a year and a half ago. Can't remember. Something like that. But yeah, I remember mum filling that out. Because you have to, I think with the things like this, because you can't do a blood test for it.
Of course.
You have to get unbiased opinions from different people. I think someone from work filled it out. I think, did you not fill something out?
I don't know. Because I always feel like, because you always say this to me, like, do you think I'm different? I'm like, just more. You've still got crazy ideas. You still get hyper-focused. But I think
There's other reasons for that, so we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that, but you can't, it seems like you can't go as long as you used to do. Like me and you used to do some crazy work days and we would both be firing on all cylinders till stupid o'clock. And it feels now like you crash about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if that makes sense.
I get up a lot earlier now, though.
Ah, right, fair enough. So when you get that,
you should be eating. So when you get ADHD, you should have completely natural thing.
And he's drinking, for those of you on audio only, Dr. Pepper. What is it?
Cherry Crush. Zero sugar. It's like crack. Lee and James from work call it liquid crack.
Yeah.
I forget sometimes. He was like, I'm just going to go to the shop and get some crack. I was like, what? No, I forget.
Going to get Dr. Pepper.
It's actually Dr. Pepper. Guys, like, it becomes an addiction.
One thing I wanted to ask, I remember when you got your diagnosis and you went through this process, there was certain parts of it that were quite emotional for you because it felt like things fell into place, particularly around previous friendships, relationships. Because
Yes.
we naturally take the mick a lot about it and have fun about it, but there was a really emotional side.
I got a bit angry
Yeah.
about the situation at one point, but we'll get to that. I'll go back to the other bit. So we got these forms filled out,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had another into the person, and then I think I had and then I had a final. It's not like an interview. It's just like I don't know, what do you call it?
Assessment.
Yeah. Assessment. So I had an assessment with the main doctor at the end. And he was like, yeah, so I can say that you've got an ADHD diagnosis. I was like, fucking brilliant. Right, cool. Know what it is now. So he's like, so do you want to speak to like a therapist first and, go down that route? I was like, well, I've been having that for 10 years and that's not doing anything. Or, do you want to go down the medication? I was like, medication. Let's try that straight away. So I was like, yep, that's what I want to do because I've meditated for years.
Yeah.
At least I could spend half an hour meditating and feel no different at the end of it. So what I found from the meditating things now, the main thing about it for me is to calm my mind down so I can process better ideas. Whereas like it's actually torture for me trying to meditate to switch off my brain.
Because it's not going to happen.
That's trying to relax too much stresses me out.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that people don't understand is like, people, you should just chill out a bit, relax. And no, that makes me more stressed. I've got so much energy I want to give and have all the time. Someone trying to suppress that from me makes my life harder.
Which makes sense why you really struggle to switch off on holiday and all of your best ideas come on you're on holiday and supposed to not be working.
Yeah.
Definitely. Do you want to talk about when you went to Hawaii?
Yeah.
'Cause that
Katie
is
and the
funny.
family love me for this. It's funny now. It was tears at the time, wasn't it, babe? So basically, so we were in Hawaii, and we were going for the basic. Before this had happened, sorry, let me just wind back a little bit. We needed to change the flights round because last minute before I went to Hawaii, for a few days after, I booked like a mentoring day with Hormozy.
Alex Hormozy.
So,
Yeah.
but it was the only date they had left for the year, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, we need to just change how we're getting home. We need to go straight to Vegas, which is where it was. And then, so we had to change around the flights and things like that. And then everyone's getting stressed because we're having to change the flights and stuff. Like, it's cool. Wrong Virgin Atlantic, or the operator it was. And then it was like AI that sorted most of it on the voice. I was like, oh, that was easy, cool.
So just go back there. So AI, artificial intelligence, you're trying to change flights, you phone up and you don't speak to a human being, you speak to an AI voice assistant.
For a lot of it was, yeah.
It was like, what do you want to do? Change my flights. And did you know it was an AI voice assistant?
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew.
Yeah,
But it was really good.
Yeah, I was like, this is more efficient than human. It was like, brilliant.
And you were
right,
able
cool.
to change your flights quite quickly and
Don't have a laugh. Don't want to have a crack with you. I just want to get my shit done that I need to get done. So yeah, that was cool. So we were, in Hawaii in a certain part. So we were on Big Island. And there was this famous hotel where when they first put like a hotel on the island, there was just light shining into the water, which is in front of the beach. And this is by total accident. And what they basically found was there was one of the highest concentrated amounts of plankton in one area, I think in the world or something like that. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something like that, or one of. And what that does is bring all the giant manta rays in, families, and it's one of the best places in the world to see manta rays. So we went to do that night, which was amazing. And then they had the like UV lights. So it was like a surfboard. And then they take you out on the boat first, and then you get out into the water and then swim over to the surfboard, and you'd like an instructor with you. This is pitch black at night. Mm-hmm. And then there'd be like a blue UV light shining down into the water. And then all of a sudden, this like 12-foot wide manta ray just rubbed its belly all along underneath us. Absolutely incredible experience. Just as the first one went past, I was like, we can get an AI bot to ring all our clients sorry, not the clients, potential prospects and leads, because the biggest thing we struggle with, not everyone, but the thing that's hardest to get to quickly sometimes, if you're in a session, you're doing, you're teaching a workout, or one of the franchisees has got another client in, is ringing the lead fast enough. So if you can ring the lead in like a minute, you're like 10 times more likely to get them on the phone and get them booked in for a consultation. So I was like, AI do it. So basically, we built like an AI bot in like 12 weeks.
So just to go back, you're there in this completely magical, life-changing Manta Ray experience, and your hyper-focused brain goes...
My third eye.
Your third eye, looking down into the beautiful, mesmerising views of the ocean and the wonders of the world, and your brain, instead of going, oh, wow, isn't this amazing, goes...
No, Manta Ray went, AI, when it went past.
We need to build an AI voice assistant for my business.
They're incredible creatures. Like, you telepathically communicate with me. We do that a bit sometimes, don't we?
Sometimes, yeah.
So,
so then you spent what should have been time on the beach on your laptop building an AI voice assistant called Olivia.
I couldn't stop thinking about it, though.
Yeah.
I would test it like, yes. Yeah.
James' partner's in the background, Katie. Yeah, she's here.
Yeah, I was nearly single when I got home, but we avoided that one. So we're still testing that now, and actually, like, when it doesn't have its moments, it's actually really good, but it's not ready to roll out just yet. But
is that we call that your hyper focus? Can you explain what that means, like hyper focusing in terms of ADHD?
So the hyper focus side of it. I can genuinely do something in a week that takes me a year to do.
When this becomes your superpower?
Yeah, because when it comes to superpower, I don't need to wait. I'll figure it out for myself. Mm-hmm. I'm not waiting for teams to do this. And it's not the best use of my time sometimes, but when I'm on a roll, I can't stop myself. And I'll get done what needs to get done in such a short period of time. And nothing can stop me. I think what ADHD does, I think, because you've got to think back, like, what is ADHD and why have people got it now? And it's not, I don't like the label of it as such. It's just a different way of thinking. There's so much energy and thought, and you can figure things out really easy. Like hundreds of years ago, it would probably be like my sort of mentality, be out hunting or trying to figure out problems. It's just, but in modern day's world, it's seen as a negative thing. So ADHD's it's just a different way. Everything, we put meanings on things by the word that it says.
But this is why I wanted to talk about it, because we talk about your hyperfocus being your superpower. And I think for some people who maybe not even newly diagnosed, but have ADHD, feel a lot of the time like, I can't do what other people do. I hyperfocus on, you see all these.
I'm going to give them a take on it.
Go on.
So you got to remember, is it your ADHD or are you being lazy and not accountable?
But if you have, this is going back to what you were saying there about like the language that you use. If you have viewed your ADHD as, like you said, it is regarded as a disability. So if you have viewed this.
I could get a blue badge to park up.
You could get a blue badge?
Yep.
For your ADHD?
I'll show you now.
Is that in case you forget where your car is?
One sec.
Is this genuine? Genuine.
Right.
Wow.
Can ADHD people get blue disability badge?
Oh, we're getting up now. Yes. People with ADHD may qualify for a blue badge if their condition significantly impacts their daily life.
Yep.
Wow.
Be great for parking up in Middle Manchester.
I mean, you park wherever you want anyway. This is the,
it's called valet parking. You just left with a £20 ticket if you pay it within 7 days.
But so you can get a blue badge.
Such a twat, so you know.
It's classed as a disability. My point being that you could get this diagnosis and you could feel like it is the worst thing in the world. This explains me. I'm a failure. I can't do things. I'm disabled and can get a blue badge because my brain doesn't work. Like that.
And it's a victim mentality, yeah.
But that could consume someone.
Yeah.
And how?
I think it's been divine timing for me that when I got the diagnosis, because maybe if I was younger and it had a different stigma around it as it has now, then maybe it would have caused me issues deep down.
Well, like you said at the start,
you have got a problem, and my mum, who's amazing, so the signs were there.
Yeah.
She used to call me Mr. Impulsive as a kid, but still convinced I'm not got ADHD now. But my nickname was Mr. Impulsive, so I don't know how it works. But what she did was she never made it out to be a problem. You know, I got diagnosed with I don't know what it is. Forgot now. You should go right, you know. Dyslexia, yeah. That's how much importance I put on it. But yeah, I got diagnosed with dyslexia and maybe ADD at the time or whatever it was. But Mum never even mentioned it to me, and she didn't need to. I would have had to go through the same bullshit school process anyway, whether I had it or not. And I've had to sit there legally in the class, learn about shit I didn't want to learn about anyway. So what was the point in telling me at the time?
What advice would you have for someone else who might be thinking that they have it or has a diagnosis and this is causing them issues and is debilitating for them?
Well, you need to establish what issues is it causing? Because yeah, you might have ADHD, but equally, what's your home life like? Are you with a supportive partner? Are you dealing with your stress at work? Are you dealing with your business? So all these stress symptoms that build up can give ADHD symptoms too. So have you got a lot of external factors that you're not dealing with, or is it actually your ADHD that's the problem?
And like you were talking before about poor nutrition and not exercising, that can really have a negative impact.
Yeah, exactly. Because you got to remember, like, just because you got ADHD doesn't mean you've not tackled other stuff. You're not tackling other stuff in your life too. Like, you might have like a lot of suppressed emotions, and you're not dealing with your problems in life, which is causing you mental problems and mental health issues. Like, that's not ADHD. That's just not sorting out your life as well. So I think you've got to be really careful, like, about how much blame you actually put on it and what you're actually really good at. I'm not talking about leaving a towel on the floor at home, forgetting where I've put my wallet or my keys. Yeah, that is you can see that all day long. Like, I'll just forget about something completely because I've been so channeled in. But if you're blaming it for not having no energy, I don't sleep properly, it's like, well, what about your e-cigarette you're sucking on every minute of the day? What about the 10 cups of coffee you're having a day and at 6 or 7 o'clock at night before you sleep? What about the TV you're watching till 12 o'clock at night? That might be more to do with your lack of sleep, not your ADHD. Because when I've got those in check, I don't get, my symptoms are nowhere near as bad, and I can focus even more. And it's that I can channel into more my excitement and my vision so much more if I've got my own shit in order in my life.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
What was it?
It's my son. I've gone to turn it off. I've gone to turn it off. I've gone to turn it off on my watch and it's answered.
It's so funny because you've not got a Scouse accent and all your family have. So I'm like, who's this little Scouse person come from?
Mum. Leave me alone.
Some chicken.
Leave me alone.
So yeah, but equally, I think you've also got to change your outlook on how you look at yourself. So yeah, if you've got ADHD, you're going to have ADHD symptoms, but the negative symptoms will be worse if you've not got your own shit together. But your positive symptoms will be even better if you've got your own shit together. But you've also got to give yourself a bit of slack and realise what you're actually amazing at. Like I believe every single person on this planet is put here for a reason, has got potential to change themselves and other people. But you've got to know what that is. And without trying to better yourself every day, you're never going to really find it. And like, for example, you got to try and find when you're in your flow, You got to think for a minute. Shut your eyes and sit on the end of the bed and just think about yourself. Like just having a minute to yourself, just to think about you. Like no one ever does, and it's so like, underestimated like how much that'll actually help you. So when am I in the flow? Even if it's something little, like you could be amazing on a PS5 and be the highest level player in the world. Right? Doesn't mean that you're a kid and a teenager because you like to do that. But for some reason, you might be super amazing at fast reactions with things, and you can be super responsive, and you'll find that ADHD people are usually very quick and the reactions are super quick because the brain's just working 100 times quicker than anyone else. So if you're like still in your journey with it, try and figure out when are you in your flow and who can you have in your life, or what can you have, or what can you do in your life to support your weaker areas.
How do you support your well, first of all, what do you think your weaker areas are? And how do you support those? Well,
I'm really good at tidying. I'm amazing at organising. Clean the house amazingly every day.
Let's go back to organising, because actually one thing you did was you were well aware that you needed some help, particularly at work. You are CEO of a business. There is a lot going on. There are a lot of people that want you and need you and want your energy. So you did get some help in the form of Jess.
Yep, got a PA.
And what does Jess do? How does she help you?
So, do you know, it's as simple as just literally a phone call, right, you've got this on today, this is going to be sorted. Do you need help with this? What do you need to delegate? Because one of my traits, I can forget, because I get so excited about something, I won't delegate it.
Yeah.
Which might be a 12, 13, 40, 15 pound an hour job, like paying a parking fine or something like that. And that's not it's just more time spent. And it's not that I don't want to delegate it out. That's why we have staff to grow the business. But I think, I'll do that super quick. But it just consumes thoughts. It's not. This is what people think. Like, that only take me a minute. I don't need to take this person on. No. It's not the time. It's less thoughts in your head. So if you got ADHD, to create as least thoughts as possible.
So like reduce the
you get decision fatigue. Yeah. If you're just making decisions all the time, and that's what I found when I was growing the business and they didn't have enough people, I was making all decisions all the time and I'd just crash and burn. I couldn't train. I wasn't recovering properly. I talked about it in one of the other podcasts. So that's when I started to get them. But I don't think I knew how to get the right people, and what I actually needed was another thing for the business. But if you're listening to this podcast and you've not got a business, and you might be young, or you might be just starting your business or whatever, you need to really quickly find out what you're not good at.
Which I think goes back to what you were saying, that kid on the PS5 has really quick reaction time. So that's a skill. Is it looking at what gifts this gives you? Like for you, this gives you speed, it gives you rapid decision-making abilities.
So I was doing a spiritual ceremony, which we'll talk about later, last Saturday. And I've been on my journey unpacking like things that I just need some emotion release for like the past few years. It was the first one I did. I do these regularly last Saturday. And I remember I was with my mate, Martin. So Martin's one of my best friends. And I literally took my eye mask off for his ceremony. I was led down. And I just went, I've got so much fucking energy to give to everyone. I just want to give you my energy. I've just got so much to give, and I've got so much passion and energy, and I can just make things happen if I need it to happen. And I just realized I knew that was me anyway, but it really confirmed who I am, that I can just make shit happen, and I want it more than anyone else. And that's why I know I'm always going to be successful. I'm not saying I'm never going to have failures, but I always bounce back quick, figure out the solution, let's go. I haven't got time to be wasting energy on feeling sad and moping around. I've never done that. Mm-hmm. I can have a whinge and get angry, a bit upset in the moment, which is fine, but I'm good at snapping myself back out of that, because that is an ADHD thing. You can be oversensitive.
And overthink everything.
Yeah, so the superpower is if you're really channeled in, you can be hyper aware. Like I can see things that most people wouldn't see, and it makes me a very, very good problem solver. Like I feel more comfortable in a stressful situation than I do in being a comfortable situation, and I can just see things clearly that other people can't piece together. And it's a massive edge. And it's taken me a while to really realise that.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I channel into it, the better and better I get. But to get my head in that mind frame, I've had to go for a lot of self-development and just deal with my own personal stuff and realise what I'm great at. And also having a partner that supports that as well,
Mm-hmm.
that still loves you for your negative, if you see it as a negative thing, and you can support each other that way. And I think a big part of it is that as well, is like who do you have around you actually meant to be in your life that rave about who you are.
I think understanding as well how
instead of you're a messy bastard, you're so clumsy, and it's like that. You need to get rid of them people straight away out of your life.
But I think sometimes it's having a conversation about how it works for you. So, for example, we think my husband might have ADHD. This is a recent discovery.
It's a Gemma diagnosis.
No, and for the last 16 years, there's one thing he does that will be the cause of our divorce. Well, it would have been until we kind of learnt about ADHD. And that is, he takes washing out of the tumble dryer and he jumbles it all up in one basket and he doesn't fold it. And I've sat with him in tears and said, "Can you please stop doing this?"
I throw my clothes next to the dirty clothes basket.
But this is what I'm trying to say. I get upset because it feels like I've got a specific need, something that drives me crazy, and he doesn't do it. But then recently, when we've been looking into this and about how his brain is just so overwhelmed that he's so tunnel visioned, he can't remember that I've asked that. It's made me less naggy, less nasty, and more compassionate, even without a diagnosis, because it does make sense.
Well, yeah, I think you've got to understand, I'm talking from a man point of view here, that sometimes, it might annoy you because you feel like you're being disrespected.
Yeah,
right?
Massively.
Whereas, I'm just talking from my experience, your focus, his focus or my focus in this situation is I've got to focus on getting that next deal in. I've got a family to provide for. I've got people that I care for and I want to help.
Mm-hmm.
My instincts just go out, get out the door and win. And then that's a small thing. And there's a lot of other stuff going on in your head, and it might not feel like and it isn't a priority in your, I think this is the other thing. We can use excuses in the world, but whether you got ADHD or not, if you're not prioritizing it, you don't see it as that important. Yeah. Whereas ADHD people super focus on the thing they feel is the most important in that moment.
Yeah.
So that is the most important thing in that moment. In that moment, not in their life, but in that moment. Yeah. That's what you got to remember, is that it doesn't mean that someone's not cared about and other people being forgot about all the time. But in that moment, there was something else that felt more of a priority than putting them dirty boxes into the washing basket.
Do you think there's a bit of it goes back to a bit of primitive instinct as well? So you're right. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm the woman in the family. He's the man. You're right. His focus,
who'd have thought?
His focus is go out and provide. And it doesn't matter that I do that as well. He is programmed at a primitive level to want to kill it, fuck it, protect it, and that's so the washing is not one of those things. He wants to go out to work and he wants to earn money or go and get food from the supermarket for us or whatever. And is it do you feel like that?
Jordan Peterson says what most 90% of women will go into more caring roles, and men will go into more physical roles naturally. I'm not saying you can't force it, but if you just let people naturally go to where they do, I'm not saying that women should be cleaners,
no,
either, but it's men are just naturally more messier, and men would be fucked without women equally. So it's not a 50-50 thing. Men provide a lot more value, I believe, in other ways. I'm just talking from my life and the people that respect that around me. I'm not saying it's different. Everyone's got their own opinion on it. But we've got our own values and what we're really good at, so in a natural form, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you can't I'm not a naturally, could I focus a lot of energy on trying to be super tidy? Of course I could, but it would feel 10 times harder. I said to Katie, I was like, honestly, I'd rather go and open. It's easy for me to go and open 3 gyms and launch it with 100 clients each than it is to do a full day of gutting the house out.
Yeah.
That drives me in. That's torture.
Yeah.
Whereas Katie, she loves organising things, you know, and I support her. She supports me, both in different ways. And it's just, we're not trying to force it. Go, no, we're 50-50 and things like that. It's that we're 50-50 in different ways. We're not, men and women aren't the same.
But I think that's what's difficult about the modern day world. We're kind of like expected to be the same. But that's a conversation for another time. That's not an ADHD conversation.
Well, right. So a man has, we might as well talk about it. So a man has double the size of a frame than a woman and loads more muscle. So they're designed to be stronger naturally. I'm not saying there's not individual women that are super strong. I'm very strong. And I'm not talking about mentally strong. I'm talking about physically strong here. Like, why do men have more strength? Like, from a physical point of view, I'm not saying there's not little weak men either, but the majority of men are stronger than a woman's frame. So we're obviously designed to do more labour-intensive things in life and vice versa.
And which is why we have that maternal gut instinct, because we are the nurturers.
Oh, men are so stupid in so many ways. You think with their ego and the dick. And women are so much better at a methodical thought process and how it impacts everything else. So that's why we'd be screwed. It's not a us versus them sort of thing. We've got to work together. And that's why I'm talking. But what's relevant to this is having a supportive partner that can help with this as well.
But that's what I think the stuff that me and my husband have been going through is, this is how I'm wired. This is how my brain is wired to work from, tens of thousands of years ago. And I'm not doing, in his words, I'm not doing things to piss you off. You say all you want is to be thought about. Actually, all I'm doing is thinking about you, but not in the ways you're expecting me to. I'm thinking about paying the bills and making sure you're all safe. And those are the thought processes that drive him crazy, because they're just constant. And I think for me as a partner, understanding that and learning that has allowed me to let go of over a decade's worth of resentment, because he's not done the one task that pisses me off that I've asked him to do over and over again. And I think that's what I mean about, but he is reluctant to go and get an official diagnosis because he feels like there might be a label or a stigma, or it might cause him issues at work. And I think that was my question to you. You are someone who I see as ADHD, you've turned this to be something so positive, so inspirational, so motivational. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about it today, because I think for a lot of people, it might feel hopeless, and it doesn't have to be. Yeah.
And you need to look at your friend circles as well. Do they bring out the best? I think the people around you have a big impact. The more I go on my journey and respect myself more, the more I'm conscious of who I let into my life, who influence my train of thought process as well.
So final thought for someone who's listening to this who might think that they have ADHD and want to find out more. Obviously you mentioned that there's a 2-year waiting list on the NHS. Where else do you think they could start to go and find help and support?
So I went to a company in Wilmslow. I think they've got another one down south somewhere. I'm not sure. It's called Sanctum Healthcare. Really good, really professional. And they're genuinely on the side. They want you to win. And, whether you're wanting to take medication for it, whether you want to try and do it more naturally, they'll support you both ways. Just because you get the diagnosis doesn't mean that's a prescription of amphetamines for life. We could actually talk about that before we finish, actually. But or you can do it in more natural ways. So it's about £1,000 all in. And then the first 6 months, £200 a month roughly, for the ongoing, so what happens, so this is a really important part, like if you get your diagnosis privately, then that's just the start. Then you've got to start finding the medication that's right for you. So in short, your brain has inconsistent releases of dopamine, and when you've got low dopamine, you have less focused and you're more scatty. And what happens with ADHD people, they'll all of a sudden get this surge of dopamine where they're hyper focused, and then that's all they can think about. So what the medication does, when you talk about amphetamines, you're not thinking about speed and stuff like people used to have back in the day to lose weight. It's a micro dose. And you got long acting version, short acting, depending on how you react to it. And then that trickles a slow amount of dopamine to your brain during the day to help you just have more consistent thoughts.
Productivity and thoughts.
Productivity.
Yeah.
And there's some times where I love not having it as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Like you find that you're not over hyper focused, but but it makes you want to work more. When I don't have it, I want to chill more.
Right.
Because it is a stimulant at the end of the day.
So you don't have to be on it every day, you can choose.
Yeah. What I do find is with it though, and this is really important, and no one told me this, and I had to figure it out for myself, that you need to have regular breaks on it, because one, body gets sensitive to it and your brain feels a bit burnt out. And I think it's just because you're so focused and but I can't really describe the feeling you get, but you feel focused but scatty after a bit. So, but if you stay on it too long every day, 7 days a week, if you don't have it, you'll have like a dopamine crash for 2 or 3 days and you just feel on the sofa.
So you feel exhausted.
Monged out for days and exhausted for like 2 or 3 days. And then day 4, you're not on it for life if you want to. You've got to push through being a bit tired and brain foggy. But I found that if you have 1 or 2 days off a week, you don't get that. So like last Saturday, I didn't have it and I was more relaxed and chilled. I had like a bit of a, sofa, bed day, watching TV. Got TV in bed. That was amazing. So it just means I'm going to bed earlier. But we're just chilling out all day. And that was really nice. So, you can get, it's not addictive's the wrong word, but it's hard to work without it once you work with it.
I get you. And I do want to point out that neither of us are medical professionals. And so if you are on medication for ADHD, please do speak to your doctor.
Yeah. And there's nothing against not having it. They don't tell you to have it every day, by the way. Like you use it for when you want to use it. If you ever want to stop, you want to stop. So getting to the point of the process, it's roughly, I don't know, for other clinics, it might be similar. But it was £200 a month because you had a monthly or bi-weekly review with them. And you start off a low dose and then you slowly build up to the dose that's perfect for you.
Right, so that's what you're paying. So the £200 a month is for the medication.
For 6 months.
For 6 months. And then what happens after that?
Then after 6 months, you get shared care. They partner up with your local clinic, your local doctors.
So your GP.
Yeah, and then it's like £15 a month for your prescription after
through
that.
the NHS.
Yeah, so that's £200 a month for that, plus about £150 a month for the medication. It's very expensive. It's a Class A controlled substance if it's not used for medical purposes. So it has to be very controlled. So I think there's a lot of like laws around it and things like that. So
was it difficult to get the shared care?
No, straight away. Like I've gone back to private again now because the doctors that I use were absolutely terrible. I won't go into detail. That's it's not really to do with this. It can happen with anything. But yeah, I've just gone. I think I've just stayed private with it.
And they continue to monitor you and continue with your
So it's just like check your blood pressure. Like the other thing is if you're very overweight, you can put your blood pressure up. My blood pressure's fine. Once I thought, I'm gonna have to come off because I was doing my blood pressure. We were away in me and Kate were in Cornwall. I think it was Cornwall, wasn't it? So I took a blood pressure monitor with me. And then I was wearing the strap too far down my arm. So my blood pressure was like saying 170 over 100. I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. That's it.
But I
was like, and then stopped taking the meds. I was like, that's it. Back to muggle thinking again now. back to feel like a superhero for 3 weeks, and then someone that can't think themselves for 4 weeks after that. That was the cycle before. And then realised that I moved the cuff around. Sorry, no, the cuff was too far up my arm. It was like on my shoulder.
Right.
It was like I felt like my arm was going to burst. All the veins were like coming out in my arm. So then I was moving it around, and it was like 124 over whatever it was, and it was absolutely fine. And the medication had zero impact on my blood pressure. So. And
now everything's cool. Everything's managed, and you're feeling great, and you're using it to your advantage.
Yeah, but do you know what's amazing about it is there's studies showing that it actually rewires your brain now. So there's adults staying on this for 4 or 5 years coming off it and it's actually fixed the problem.
Wow.
So there's like some very early studies, but they're actually showing that 80% of adults, I think it was, or something like that. I can't remember. I might be completely wrong. Or the pocket of people that were in this study, that once they came after 5 years, most of them didn't actually need to go back on. And I find that now, because my brain's been so trained into the new thought process, when I'm not on the medication, I'm still thinking more proactively. I'm still a lot more self-aware. So I think it's reprogrammed my subconscious brain to think differently, because I've got so used to thinking differently.
Yeah. When
I'm not on the medication, I don't feel like I'm going back to the square one, because I've grown so much mentally as a person, that, yeah, it's not, you don't, like if you don't have your medication, doesn't mean you're going to go back, to not putting your underpants in a washing basket. I don't know. I'll probably always
Still don't do that.
You'll throw it and it'll fall off the side, and then Kate thinks I've put it next to the basket on purpose to piss her off.
I can relate.
When the intention was to throw it in the basket and it drops off, and I've not realised. So from that point of view, it's like you've got to decide if that's the route you want to go down. But why not? Because
if it helps you to be more,
then
it's worth giving it a try.
Be more, yeah. And I'd rather, if in 30, 40 years' time they come and say, it's going to take 10 years off your life, well, the years that I've gained mentally and the quality of life I've got from it has drastically improved, then that doesn't matter. So I'm sure that's never happened. I think it's been studied for like 50 years, this stuff, and there's never been any problems from it. It's a very safe drug to take. There's a load of different options. The stimulant version, non-stimulant. If you've got heart problems and stuff, there's a non-stimulant version. Modafinil is actually a non-stimulant drug. So people that might naturally have like high blood pressure or things, they won't give you the stimulant-based ones, but you can still get like the kind of like... I don't know if they're like some sort of antidepressant, but not, and they work, so it stimulates your brain without it being a stimulant, so it's not attacking your nervous system as hard. And that's another thing, like being busy all the time, training a lot, it does stimulate your nervous system more, so you can burn yourself out quick. You've got to manage your nervous system well too. So yeah, that's just a more of a deeper thought and take on it than a lot of people say. But the pill's not to change your life. It's going to give you better thoughts, so use them thoughts to your advantage to make your life better. So it's going to give you more clarity, but clarity with no action still going to leave you with the same problems.
What a great note to end on.
Yeah. Thanks. What a great podcast. Thanks, Jem.
Welcome.